Commander Jack Hudson stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder, Earth's first diplomatic vessel capable of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewing window, he watched as the massive Galactic Council station grew larger against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. The year was 2157, and humanity was about to make official first contact with the governing body of known space. "Nervous, Commander?" Dr. Lisa Morgan asked, joining him at the window. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her eyes gleamed with scientific curiosity. "Should I be?" Jack replied with a small smile. In truth, his stomach was in knots. The fate of Earth might depend on this meeting. "They're sending an escort," announced Communications Officer Ryan Butler. "2 vessels approaching from the station." Jack nodded. "Standard protocol, I imagine. Maintain course and keep our weapon systems powered down." The escort ships were unlike anything humans had designed. One appeared to be made of living crystal that pulsed with internal light, while the other resembled a massive insect with technological enhancements. "The crystalline ship is Zithri design," Lisa explained, referencing her notes. "The other belongs to the Caraxians. Along with the Vulcans, they form the 3 major species of the Council." As the Pathfinder docked at the station, Jack addressed his crew of 20, scientists, diplomats, and military personnel representing Earth's United Nations. "Remember your training. We're here to establish peaceful relations and secure Earth's place in the galactic community. Let's make a good first impression." The airlock hissed open to reveal a delegation of alien representatives. The Zithri stood nearly 7 feet tall, their crystalline bodies refracting light in hypnotic patterns. The Caraxians clicked their mandibles nervously, compound eyes assessing the humans with alien calculation. The amphibious Vulcans with their smooth blue skin and large eyes seemed the most relaxed of the group. A Zithri stepped forward. "I am Kratax, Security Chief of the Galactic Council. You will follow me to the Chamber of Introduction." Jack noted the lack of welcome in the alien's tone but maintained his diplomatic smile. "Thank you, Security Chief. We are honored to be received by the Council." As they walked through the station's vast corridors, Lisa whispered to Jack, "Something's wrong. The Vulcans keep making distress gestures with their gill flaps. I studied their communication patterns during our preliminary exchanges." Jack kept his expression neutral while surveying their surroundings. Other alien species stopped to stare at the humans, some with curiosity, others with what appeared to be fear. The Chamber of Introduction was a massive amphitheater filled with representatives from dozens of species. The 3 council majors sat elevated above the others on ornate platforms. The Vulcan counselor spoke first, her voice melodious through the translation device. "Earth representatives, you stand before the Galactic Council, governing body of 57 spacefaring civilizations. Your presence has been unexpected." The Caraxian counselor's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Your species has achieved faster-than-light travel merely 70 years after splitting the atom. Such rapid advancement is unprecedented and concerning." Jack stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth, we seek peaceful relations and knowledge exchange. Our advancement comes from our diversity of thought and cooperative spirit." The Zithri counselor, a massive crystalline being named Zorval, raised a glittering appendage. "Yet your historical records show constant warfare. Your species developed nuclear weapons before eliminating hunger. You compete rather than cooperate." "We've learned from our mistakes," Jack replied. "Earth is now united in purpose." "Perhaps," Zorval said. "But the Council has already classified humanity as a potential danger species. You will be contained until properly assessed." Lisa stepped forward. "With respect, such classification without full cultural exchange violates your own founding principles of fairness." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Vulcan counselor's gill flaps pulsed rapidly. "The human speaks correctly," she said. "Protocol demands we offer them guest rights and proper introduction." Zorval's crystal body darkened with displeasure, but he nodded. "Very well. A formal reception will be held. Then we shall decide Earth's status." As the human delegation was led to their quarters, Jack pulled Lisa aside. Good catch on the protocols. Something feels off about this whole situation. The Zithri and Caraxians seem almost hostile, Lisa agreed. But the Vulcans might be potential allies. Their body language suggests internal conflict within the council. Later that evening, the reception was held in a vast hall filled with representatives from various species. Exotic foods and drinks lined crystalline tables, while alien music drifted through the air. Jack circulated carefully, making polite conversation while gathering information. He noticed Kratax watching the humans closely, crystal facets glinting with suspicion. Lisa approached Jack urgently. "I've been speaking with a Nari scientist, the small telepathic beings by the fountain. The council isn't just cautious about us. They're frightened. Apparently, we match some ancient prophecy about the returners who will upset the power balance." Before Jack could respond, a commotion erupted across the hall. The Vulcan counselor suddenly clutched her throat. Blue, skin turning pale, she collapsed to the floor, gasping. Without thinking, Jack rushed to her side. His military training included emergency medical procedures for human biology, but he had no idea if they would work on a Vulcan. "Lisa," he shouted, "what do we know about Vulcan physiology?" Lisa knelt beside them. "They can absorb oxygen through their skin in emergencies. Their throats have cartilage flaps that sometimes spasm when exposed to certain compounds." Jack examined the counselor's drink, noticing a faint residue. He gently tilted her head, looking for signs of swelling. Finding a pattern of constriction, he carefully applied pressure to specific points on her neck, helping to relax the spasming muscles. Gradually, the counselor's breathing eased. Her large eyes focused on Jack. "You saved me." "Why?" "Because it was the right thing to do," Jack answered simply. Kratax pushed through the crowd, crystal body pulsing with angry light. "The human attacked the counselor. They attempted assassination." "No." The Vulcan counselor struggled to her feet. "He saved me from what appears to be poisoning." Kratax pointed at Jack. "The poison was in a human food brought aboard. Guards, detain them all." Security forces moved in as panic spread through the reception. Jack grabbed his communication device. "Butler, Emergency Protocol Alpha, get the Pathfinder ready for immediate departure." As chaos erupted, Jack and Lisa helped the Vulcan counselor to a quiet alcove. "Someone tried to kill you and blame us," Jack said urgently. "Who stands to gain if relations between humans and the council fail?" The counselor's gill flaps pulsed rapidly. "The Zithri have been pushing for military expansion. New species are typically made client states under their protection. Independent species upset their power structure." Alarms blared throughout the station. "We need to go," Lisa urged. The counselor pressed a data crystal into Jack's hand. "Take this. It contains navigational data and communication frequencies for potential allies. Not all in the galaxy agree with the council major's methods." Jack and the human delegation fought their way back to the Pathfinder, barely escaping as council warships opened fire. As they jumped to light speed, Butler received a galaxy-wide transmission. "Commander," he said grimly, "they've declared Earth a quarantined world. All human ships are to be shot on sight." Jack looked at the stars streaking past the viewport, the data crystal clutched in his hand. "They're afraid of us," he said quietly, "and I intend to find out why." Lisa nodded, determination in her eyes. "This isn't over. It's just beginning." As the Pathfinder raced back to Earth with its alarming news, none of them realized how prophetic those words would be. The galaxy was about to change forever. 2 years had passed since the disastrous first contact with the Galactic Council. Earth was now under blockade, with Council warships patrolling the solar system's edge. Humanity had united as never before, pooling resources and accelerating military technology development. But they remained trapped in their own solar system, cut off from the stars they had just begun to explore. Lieutenant Olivia Clark sat in the cramped cockpit of the stealth ship Whisper, its experimental hull designed to absorb sensor scans rather than reflect them. The ship drifted silently through the debris field of an abandoned mining outpost near Proxima Centauri, just beyond Council patrol routes. Status report, she whispered into her comm, though sound couldn't travel in space. Old habits died hard. All systems minimal as planned, replied her pilot, Sam Myers. We're effectively invisible unless someone bumps into us. Olivia checked her watch. Our contact is late. Maybe they're not coming, Sam said nervously. This whole mission is a long shot based on a data crystal from an alien who might have been setting us up. Before Olivia could respond, the sensor panel lit up. A small vessel had appeared nearby, its design unlike council ships they had studied. It was organic-looking, with smooth curves and what appeared to be living components. That's not council, Sam muttered. Olivia activated the communication system on the frequency provided by the Vulcan Counselor's data crystal. This is Earth vessel requesting contact. We come seeking allies. After several tense moments, a response came through. The voice was high-pitched and musical. Approach bearing 73 Mark II. Follow precisely. Deviation will be considered hostile. Sam carefully guided the whisper along the specified course. As they rounded a large asteroid, both humans gasped. Hidden in a crater was a small outpost with a dozen ships of various designs. The resistance isn't just us, Olivia whispered. They docked at the outpost and were met by 3 aliens. The smallest were the Nari, barely reaching Olivia's waist, with large eyes and delicate limbs. Their skin shimmered with subtle color changes as they communicated telepathically among themselves. Beside them stood a reptilian being with iridescent scales, a Drex according to their briefing files. The third species was unknown to them, appearing as a floating collection of gas clouds contained within a transparent exoskeleton. The Nari stepped forward. I am Telsa, coordinator of this outpost. You are the first humans we have met. Her voice came not from her mouth but seemed to form directly in their minds. I'm Lieutenant Olivia Clark. This is Pilot Sam Myers. We're here on behalf of Earth. Telsa's skin rippled with blue patterns. The Council has labeled your kind dangerous, but we who suffer under Council rule have learned to question their declarations. The Drex spoke next, voice raspy and deep. I am Skrex. My people were one of the first to be protected by the Council majors. 300 cycles of protection has left us with no military, no independent technology, and resource worlds stripped bare. Olivia nodded. The Council tried to quarantine Earth immediately. We're hoping to build a network of allies who want change. Change is dangerous, the gas cloud being said, its voice sounding like wind through chimes. But continuation of Council rule is guaranteed extinction for many of us. I am Vox, last speaker for the Mists of Trellin. Last speaker? Sam asked. My people are being systematically relocated to work Council mining operations, Vox explained. Our homeworld was rich in minerals needed for Zithri crystal growth. Now it is a pit and we are scattered laborers. Back on Earth, Admiral Jack Hudson stood in the war room beneath the Rocky Mountains. The headquarters of Earth's United Defense Force was buried deep underground to protect from orbital bombardment. The blockade has shifted again, he told the assembled military and political leaders, pointing to the holographic display of the solar system. They're concentrating forces near Jupiter's orbit, particularly around the mining colonies we established on its moons. President Diane Foster frowned. They're choking our resource supply lines within our own system now. Yes, Jack agreed, and our long-range scans show they're building something at the edge of the solar system, some kind of massive structure. Alan West, formerly a civilian engineer specializing in space habitats, now Earth's chief military strategist, studied the scans. Alan had a gift for unconventional approaches, seeing patterns others missed. It looks like a jump gate, he said finally. Something that could bring in a much larger force without requiring individual ships to make the journey. How long do we have? The president asked. At their current construction rate, 3 months, Alan replied. But I have an idea. The Council, ships follow predictable patrol patterns. They're overconfident, believing their technology far exceeds ours. Jack nodded. Go on. We can't match them ship for ship, Alan explained. But we might be able to use their predictability against them. I've been studying the data from our probes. The crystalline ships the Zithri use? They're actually living entities, not mechanical constructs. They might have biological vulnerabilities we can exploit. Back at the Resistance outpost, Olivia was shown to a small conference room where representatives from 7 subjugated species had gathered. They shared information about Council weaknesses, patrol schedules, and communication protocols. The Council's power relies on division, Skrex explained. They ensure no 2 client species develop close alliances. We are all kept dependent on the majors for protection, technology, and trade. Telsa's skin flickered with orange patterns. There is something you should know about humans. Council scientists have been frantically studying your genetic material, obtained from your first contact mission. They seem afraid. Afraid of what? Olivia asked. Your neurological patterns are unique, Vox chimed in. All Council client species are susceptible to Caraxian mind control technology. It is how rebellions are quickly suppressed, but initial tests suggest humans may be immune. Olivia absorbed this information. Is that why they quarantined us so quickly? They couldn't control us? Partly, Telsa communicated, but there is more. The Council records contain mentions of ancient beings called the progenitors, who seeded the galaxy with life before mysteriously vanishing. The Zithri fear that humans may be connected to them. When Dr. Lisa Morgan received this information from Olivia's mission, she immediately began researching the progenitors. Hidden in the Vulcan Counselor's data crystal were encrypted, files that took months to decode. "Admiral," she called to Jack excitedly after a breakthrough. "I found something. The Council's founding documents, their most sacred laws. They contain a clause for settling major disputes that hasn't been invoked in centuries." Jack looked up from his tactical displays. "What kind of clause?" Lisa's eyes gleamed with discovery. "A trial by combat. Any species can challenge the Council majors to prove their worth through a series of tests: physical combat, intelligence, ethics, creativity. If they win, they can demand changes to Council law. And if they lose?" Jack asked. "They submit to Council authority completely," Lisa said grimly. "It's a tremendous risk. But it might be our only chance to avoid all-out war when that jump gate is completed." Jack thought about the resistance network Olivia was building, the defensive preparations Alan was developing, and now this ancient legal loophole Lisa had discovered. "Send a message to Lieutenant Clark," he ordered. "Tell her to return immediately, and contact the President. Earth is about to challenge the Galactic Council to trial by combat." The neutral moon of gas giant Callisto 7 loomed large in the viewport as the human vessel approached. This barren, airless rock had been chosen as the site for the trial by combat. Its surface was dotted with ancient structures built by some long-vanished civilization, now repurposed as the arena where Earth's fate would be decided. Admiral Jack Hudson stood on the bridge of the Earth-ship Defiant, watching as Council vessels took up positions around the moon. His face showed none of the anxiety he felt inside. "Receiving transmission from the Council judges," announced Communications Officer Ryan Butler. "Put it through," Jack ordered. A holographic display showed 3 aliens, none from the major species but rather from older, respected neutral civilizations tasked with overseeing the trials. "Earth vessel," spoke the lead judge, a tall, willowy being with silver skin. "The Council has accepted your challenge under the ancient laws. The trial by combat will consist of 5 tests to judge your species' worthiness. Each side will send 5 champions. Your champions may not be replaced if injured or killed. Do you understand and accept these terms?" Jack glanced at the 4 humans standing beside him, Earth's chosen champions along with himself. "We understand and accept." The Earth team prepared to depart. Dr. Lisa Morgan checked her scientific equipment one last time. Lieutenant Olivia Clark inspected her sidearm, though weapons would only be permitted in specific trials. Engineer Alan West packed tools and technical devices of his own design. Marine Sergeant Peter Hayes, the team's combat specialist, stood ready in lightweight armor. "Remember," Jack told them, "we're not just fighting for Earth. According to our allies, dozens of subjugated species are watching these trials. If we succeed, We could change the power structure of the entire galaxy. Their shuttle landed near the central arena, a massive amphitheater carved from the moon's bedrock. The human champions walked out onto the dusty surface, their steps light in the low gravity. Environment suits protected them from the vacuum, with clear helmets allowing their faces to be seen. Across the arena, the council champions emerged from their own vessel. The Zithri champion was a towering warrior whose crystalline body had been shaped into jagged edges. The Caraxian was smaller, but moved with frightening speed, its exoskeleton modified with cybernetic enhancements. The Vulcan champion appeared, reluctant, confirming the human suspicion of division within the council. Two other champions represented client species, forced to fight for their masters. The silver-skinned judge floated to the center of the arena. The first trial tests problem-solving and teamwork. You must navigate the maze of consequences. Each team will enter from opposite sides. The first team to reach the center wins. You may encounter each other within the maze. Non-lethal combat is permitted. The massive doors to the maze ground open, revealing dark corridors carved into the moon's interior. Stay together, Jack ordered as they entered. West, you're our maze expert, take point. Alan nodded, consulting a small device he'd created to map their progress. The corridors were lit with an eerie blue glow from light strips embedded in the rock. Strange symbols covered the walls, similar to those Lisa had found in the progenitor. Records. These markings aren't just decorative, Lisa said, scanning them with her equipment. They're warnings. This place is booby-trapped. As if triggered by her words, the floor beneath them suddenly tilted. Jack grabbed Lisa's arm as the others braced against the walls. A grinding sound echoed through the corridor. Pressure plates, Alan warned. Step only where I step. They progressed slowly, avoiding traps that ranged from simple pitfalls to complex mechanisms that rearranged entire sections of the maze. Hours passed as they navigated deeper. We're getting close to the center, Alan whispered, but so is the council team. Their signals are approaching from the east corridor. Suddenly, a thunderous rumble shook the maze. Dust and small rocks rained down from the ceiling. Structural collapse, Alan shouted. This section is destabilizing. They ran forward, trying to escape the collapsing tunnel. As they rounded a corner, they encountered the council team fleeing from the same danger. For a moment, both groups froze, facing each other as the ceiling continued to crack above them. The Zithri champion raised a weapon, but the Vulcan pushed his arm down, chittering urgently in their language. A massive chunk of ceiling broke loose, directly above where both teams stood. Without hesitation, Sergeant Hayes leaped upward in the low gravity, his powerful legs propelling him to the ceiling. He braced his shoulders against the falling rock, buying precious seconds. Both teams, run, he shouted, muscles straining under the impossible weight. Jack hesitated, unwilling to leave Hayes behind. Go, Hayes ordered. Complete the mission. Admiral? The combined human and council members raced past as Hayes held the collapse at bay. The last thing Jack saw as they turned the corner was Hayes's determined face as the ceiling finally gave way. In the clear section ahead, both teams stood panting, looking at each other with new understanding. He sacrificed himself, for all of us, the Vulcan champion said in halting English. The Zithri made a sound like tinkling crystal. Wasteful. Inefficient. One life for many makes no strategic sense. That's where you're wrong, Jack said quietly. That's exactly what makes us human. They reached the center of the maze together, emerging into a large circular chamber where the judges waited. Unexpected, the silver judge said. Both teams arrived simultaneously. And one champion fewer, noted another judge. The human warrior is lost. Jack nodded, his jaw tight. Sergeant Hayes gave his life to save everyone, including the council team. The judges conferred among themselves. Finally, the silver one announced, the first trial results in a draw. However, we award additional merit to the Earth team for the sacrifice of their champion. Such behavior demonstrates qualities worthy of consideration. The Zithri champion's crystalline form darkened with anger. The human deliberately sacrificed himself to gain sympathy. This violates the spirit of the competition. No, The Vulcan champion interrupted. He acted without calculation to save, even his enemies. I witnessed it directly. The second trial was announced, diplomatic negotiation with a newly discovered species. The judges revealed a chamber where representatives of a methane-breathing species waited. Neither humans nor council members had encountered them before. Lisa stepped forward for Earth. Her approach was careful and respectful, establishing basic communication through universal mathematical concepts before attempting cultural exchange. She made no assumptions about their values or needs, instead asking questions and listening carefully to the answers. The council diplomat, a Caraxian, took a different approach. He immediately presented the benefits of council membership, promising protection and technology in exchange for resource rights and obedience to council law. The methane breathers retreated from the Caraxian, but engaged enthusiastically with Lisa. By the trial's end, they had established preliminary trade agreements with Earth and expressed interest in further cultural exchange. The second trial goes to Earth, the judges announced. The human demonstrated respect for autonomy and mutual benefit rather than dominance and resource extraction. The council representatives were visibly shaken as the humans took the lead. The Zithri security chief, Cretax, who watched from the observation area, turned to his aides. "This cannot be allowed to continue," he hissed, crystal facets flashing, with anger. "Prepare the contingency plan. The humans must not win the third trial." As Jack led his remaining team back to their base camp to rest before the next challenge, he felt both grief for Hayes and hope for the first time since the blockade began. Perhaps humanity had a chance after all. The third trial was set to begin at the lunar dawn. Earth's team had spent the night in solemn remembrance of Sergeant Hayes while preparing for what would come next. Admiral Jack Hudson knew they couldn't afford more losses. The third trial tests both technological understanding and ethical decision-making, announced the silver-skinned judge as both teams gathered in a new arena. "You must enter the ancient temple and solve its puzzles. The goal is to retrieve the crystal sphere at its heart. The team that brings it out first wins." The temple was unlike the maze. Its architecture was ornate, with spiraling columns and detailed carvings that seemed to tell a story in a language none of them recognized. "These symbols look similar to the ones in the progenitor files," Lisa whispered to Jack as they entered. Her eyes widened as she studied the intricate wall carvings. "But they're more complete. This could be incredible for my research." "Stay focused," Jack reminded her. "We're here to win the trial." Alan West ran his hand along a panel of strange metal embedded in the wall. "This technology is ancient but feels oddly familiar." Lieutenant Olivia Clark kept watch as they advanced, suspicious after the previous day's events. The council team entered through the east wing. "We should hurry." The first chamber contained a puzzle, a grid of symbols that shifted and changed when touched. Alan studied it carefully. "It's a sequence puzzle," he said. "Each symbol represents a concept. We need to arrange them to tell a coherent story." While Lisa and Alan worked on the puzzle, Jack noticed something odd about the temple's structure. This place wasn't built by the same civilization that constructed the maze, he observed. The architectural style is completely different. "Correct," Lisa agreed, not looking up from the puzzle. "And these symbols, they're not just telling any story, they're telling the story of the progenitors." After 30 minutes of careful work, the puzzle clicked into place. The wall slid open, revealing a passage deeper into the temple. The team proceeded cautiously. The next chamber contained a holographic display showing a star system. Planets orbited a dying sun with one planet highlighted. "Another puzzle," Alan said. "We need to save the civilization on this planet. The sun is going supernova." They worked together using the temple's ancient interface to explore options. They could move the planet, build shields, or evacuate the population. "If we evacuate, many will die during the process," Olivia noted. "But if we try to save the planet itself, we risk losing everyone if we fail." What would the council team do? Jack wondered aloud. "Based on what we've seen, they'd prioritize efficiency," Lisa answered. "Probably save the elites and most valuable resources, abandoning the rest." Jack shook his head. That's not how we do things. We try to save everyone. They chose a combined approach, beginning evacuation while also constructing shields to protect the planet until the evacuation was complete. The interface glowed green, approving their solution. Another door opened. As they ventured deeper, they heard a commotion ahead, shouts and the sound of energy weapons. They rushed forward to find the council team engaged in battle with automated security drones that had emerged from the walls. They must have triggered some kind of security system, Alan said. The Zithri champion was holding off several drones while the others attempted to breach a sealed door. The Vulcan noticed the humans and called out, "The temple is rejecting us. It attacked when we attempted to bypass the ethics trial." Jack made a quick decision. Olivia, help them. Alan, Lisa, see if you can disable the security system. Olivia drew her sidearm and joined the fight against the drones. Alan found an access panel and began working to override the security protocols. Lisa studied the symbols surrounding the chamber. "These warnings," she said excitedly. "They're saying, the temple will only open to those with the blood of the founders. It's some kind of genetic lock." The progenitors, Jack realized. The council thinks humans are connected to them somehow. Alan successfully deactivated the drones, and both teams gathered cautiously in the center of the chamber. The sealed door remained closed. "Our methods have failed," the Caraxian champion admitted. "The temple rejects us." Lisa approached the door, studying the small panel beside it. "It needs a genetic sample. Blood." "Human blood?" Jack asked. "One way to find out," Lisa said, pressing her palm against the panel. It pricked her skin, drawing a small sample. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the panel glowed with a brilliant blue light. The sealed door slid open smoothly, revealing a vast chamber beyond. The council team stood in shock as Lisa stepped through. Jack and the others followed, leaving the aliens behind. "The temple recognizes her DNA," the Zithri champion hissed. "This confirms our worst fears." Inside the central chamber, the team found something unexpected. Not just the crystal sphere they sought, but an entire repository of ancient technology. Holographic displays activated as they entered, showing star maps, DNA sequences, and technical schematics. "It's a progenitor archive," Lisa breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is incredible." Alan moved from console to console, his fingers tracing the designs. "This technology, it's the foundation of everything the Council uses, but more advanced. FTL drives, energy weapons, terraforming systems, all of it came from here." Jack found the crystal sphere resting on a pedestal in the center of the room. As he approached it, more holographic displays activated, showing humanoid figures that looked startlingly similar to Earth humans. "The progenitors looked like us," Olivia whispered. Lisa was quickly downloading data to her devices. "Not just looked like us. According to this, they are us, or rather, we are them. Humans are direct genetic descendants of the progenitors, who seeded Earth millions of years ago as part of some long-term plan." "A plan for what?" Jack asked. "Renewal," Lisa read from the display. "They were dying out as a civilization, too static, too set in their ways. They seeded primitive versions of themselves on suitable worlds, allowing them to evolve naturally, hoping that one day their descendants would return to the stars with fresh perspectives." Before they could process this revelation, an explosion rocked the temple. The council team had forced their way in, led not by their champions but by Kraytax, the Zithri security chief. "Step away from the archives," he ordered, crystal body glowing with menacing light. His security forces surrounded the humans, weapons drawn. "This violates the rules of the trial," Jack protested. "The trial is irrelevant," Kraytax replied. "We've known the truth about humans for decades. You are the descendants of those who abandoned their responsibilities to the galaxy. The Council was built on the ruins of progenitor civilization. We will not allow you to reclaim what your ancestors discarded." The Vulcan champion pushed through the security forces. "This is wrong. The trial must be respected." Kraytax turned his weapon on the Vulcan. You have sympathized with the humans from the beginning. Your voice on the council will soon be silenced. Before he could fire, the temple itself seemed to respond. The floor beneath Kritax shifted, throwing him off balance. Lights pulsed around the chamber as ancient systems activated. Jack grabbed the crystal sphere. We need to get this to the judges. Alan, grab as much data as you can. Olivia, cover our retreat. As they ran from the chamber, Jack realized the truth was now exposed. Humans were not just another spacefaring species. They were the returning children of the galaxy's founders, and the Council had known it all along. Chaos erupted across the moon of Callisto 7 as news of the temple incident spread. The judges called an emergency session, suspending the trials while they reviewed evidence of Kritax's interference. Earth's team had managed to escape the temple, with the crystal sphere and crucial data about humanity's origins. But the political situation was deteriorating rapidly. The Council fleet is mobilizing. Lieutenant Olivia Clark reported, checking the long-range sensors from their base camp. Looks like they're abandoning any pretense of respecting the trial outcome. Admiral Jack Hudson's face was grim as he studied the tactical display. Our fleet is still holding position at the edge of the system. They're outnumbered 3-1. Dr. Lisa Morgan hadn't slept since their discovery in the temple. She worked feverishly to analyze the progenitor data they'd recovered. Jack, you need to see this, she called urgently. The Admiral joined her at the console, where complex schematics rotated in holographic display. What am I looking at? He asked. It's a defense system, Lisa explained. The progenitors built a network of devices throughout the galaxy that could neutralize weapons technology in case of conflict. The control node for this sector is here, on Callisto 7. Alan West had already begun correlating the schematics with the moon's geography. It's beneath the main arena, he confirmed. The entire trial grounds were built on top of a progenitor installation. Jack's mind raced with possibilities. Can we activate it? Theoretically, Lisa nodded. It would disable weapons across the entire system temporarily. But I'm not sure how. Their discussion was interrupted as the silver-skinned judge materialized in their camp through some advanced teleportation technology. Humans, the judge announced formally. The Council has withdrawn from the trials and declared them void. They are preparing military action. As neutral arbiters, we cannot interfere directly, but we also cannot allow the ancient laws to be violated without consequence. They're the ones violating the laws, Olivia protested. Indeed, the judge agreed. Which is why I have come with information. The Vulcan counselor has broken ranks with the other majors. She has transmitted evidence of long-standing council knowledge regarding your progenitor heritage to all member species. Rebellions are beginning on dozens of worlds. That won't help us if their fleet destroys Earth, Jack said grimly. Perhaps not, the judge replied. But there is one more trial that was to come, the trial of creation. In this test, champions must use the tools at hand to create something of lasting value. I suggest you consider what tools you now possess. With those cryptic words, the judge vanished. Alan's eyes widened with understanding. The progenitor defense system, that's our tool. And the crystal sphere, Lisa added, examining it closely for the first time. It's not just a trophy, it's a key. Jack made his decision. Prepare the shuttle. We're going to the arena. Meanwhile, in orbit above Callisto 7, the Council fleet had assembled for an overwhelming strike, but they weren't unopposed. Earth ships had advanced to defensive positions, joined by a ragtag collection of vessels from the resistance network Olivia had helped build. On the Council flagship, the Zithri and Caraxian counselors watched with contempt. These primitives think they can oppose us? The Caraxians' mandibles clicked rapidly. They have no concept of the forces we command. The Vulcan counselor stood apart from them, her gill flaps pulsing with emotion. You have hidden the truth for generations. The progenitors never meant for their legacy to be hoarded by a few species. The progenitors abandoned their responsibilities. The Zithri counselor's crystalline form darkened with anger. We built order from the chaos they left. We will not surrender that order to their untested offspring. Then you have forgotten. The most important lesson they left us, the Vulcan replied sadly. Adaptation through diversity. You fear humans because they think differently than we do. Below on the moon's surface, Jack's team raced to the arena in their shuttle. Council forces were landing nearby, led by Kretax, determined to stop them. The entrance to the installation should be at the center of the arena floor, Lisa directed as they landed. The team dashed across the open ground, energy blasts from Council weapons striking around them. Alan and Lisa worked frantically to open the hidden access panel while Jack and Olivia provided covering fire. Got it, Alan shouted as a section of floor slid away, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. They hurried down into the ancient installation. Unlike the ornate temple, this facility was streamlined and practical. Consoles lit up as they entered, responding to their presence. The system recognizes us as authorized users, Lisa noted with excitement. Progenitor DNA confirmation. Alan studied the main control interface. This is incredible. The system doesn't just disable weapons, it can interrupt any energy pattern we specify. How long would it take to configure? Jack asked, hearing Council forces beginning to descend the stairs behind them. Minutes, Alan replied. But we need the key. Lisa placed the crystal sphere into a receptacle on the central console. It fit perfectly, glowing with internal light as systems throughout the facility hummed to life. They're coming, Olivia warned, taking position near the entrance. Almost there. Alan's fingers flew over the controls. Lisa, I need the frequency. Ranges for Council weapon systems. Lisa fed him the data from her research. What about our own weapons? And the resistance ships? I'm setting exclusions based on Earth weapon signatures, Alan confirmed, and adding the resistance fleet frequencies you collected. Energy blasts struck near the entrance as Council forces pushed closer. Olivia returned fire, but they were outnumbered. We can't hold them much longer, she shouted. Done. Alan activated the system. A pulse of energy expanded outward from the facility, rippling through space. On the view screens they watched as Council weapons systems went dead. Their ships drifted, power cores temporarily disrupted. In orbit, the human fleet seized the advantage, moving into strategic positions around the disabled Council vessels. The Zithri and Caraxian councilors stared in disbelief as their mighty armada floated powerless. The Vulcan counselor stepped forward. Now you will listen, she said firmly. The humans have proven their worth through these trials. More importantly, they have shown a different way of thinking, one that values all life, not just the powerful. Back in the installation, Kretax and his forces found themselves facing Jack's team with weapons that no longer functioned. It's over, Jack told the Zithri security chief. Your weapons are disabled. Your fleet is surrounded, and your secret is exposed to the galaxy. You think this changes anything? Kretax's crystal form pulsed angrily. The Council has ruled for millennia. We will not surrender to primitives. We're not asking for surrender. Lisa stepped forward. We're proposing something new. 1 month later, representatives from over 100 species gathered on a neutral space station. The old Council chamber had been redesigned, with all seats arranged in a circle rather than with the majors elevated above the rest. Admiral Jack Hudson, now Ambassador Hudson, addressed the gathering. The Galactic Federation welcomes all species as equal members, he announced. Knowledge and resources will be shared for the benefit of all. No species will dominate another. The Vulcan counselor, now Federation representative, stood beside him. The wisdom of the progenitors was not in their technology but in their understanding that diversity leads to strength. By seeding the galaxy with their children and allowing them to develop independently, they ensured new perspectives would eventually flourish. Alan West had established technology exchange programs between former enemies, focusing first on environmental restoration of worlds damaged by Council exploitation. Olivia Clark led a new multi-species exploration initiative, mapping the unknown, regions beyond former Council space. Lisa Morgan's work on progenitor archives had created a new field of galactic history, open to scholars of all species. As Jack looked out at the representatives working together, former oppressors and oppressed, now cautiously cooperating. He thought of Sergeant Hayes and his sacrifice. One life for many had indeed made sense. The galaxy had changed forever, just as the trial name had foretold. Not through domination, but through understanding. Not through force, but through example. The children of the progenitors had returned to the stars, not to reclaim an empire, but to build something better.